Hey folks, it's Tourism Tim here, and we are in part two of a travel trade show marketing success mini course with my good friend Jeremy Garrett with J2L Events. And today, if you haven't watched part one of what you need to do long before the show to maximize your leads and sales and opportunities, you need to watch part one. But part two and the following part three are going to be about what we do during the show, and then part three will be about after the show. So Jeremy and I, although there's a lot of things to cover, we just decided that we would cover two key things. Oh, I'm sorry. Good day, Jeremy.
Good day, Tim.
So anyway, we're going to just jump right into this because we promise lots of good content, lots of specific things that you can do to take away. And the first thing we're going to talk about is your trade show stand. It is the kind of the core of what you're up to. And Jeremy, I know we're going to talk about both about this, but what do you see as one of the mistakes that made by travel trade show exhibitors frequently on their stand?
I think one of the big things that I see is you may have a stand-up that may have beautiful pictures, but it doesn't really define who you are or where you are. I can't tell you how many stands that I see, and it's lots of different types of pictures and things, and I have no idea what they do.
Yeah, and that becomes even more of a problem, folks, when you're in a trade show environment and there's lots of other fabulous trips and destinations, and people are going down the aisle and they're scanning very quickly, and you've got your company is called Jeremy's Fun Trips. And Jeremy, you probably run great trips, but people have like you said, no idea. Is this a soft adventure? Is this a luxury lodge? Are you, is it adventures? Are you sipping Mai Tais on the beach? So what we're going to talk about is, I think from the start is it's really, really important. Very across the top is usually called your header banner. That really needs to be really, really big. And I call it needs to be a defining, descriptive headline of what you do is more important than the name of your company, unless your company is super descriptive. For example, at a recent show that I was with my brother and you, although he does many types of trips and he generally falls into multi-sport, soft eco adventures is one of his banners. On this particular trip, we were focused on a specific package that was about whale watching. Whale watching in what was it? I can't remember what it said, but it was essentially whale watching in Baja, Mexico, multi-sport eco-adventure lodge. It was essentially our headline. So people, and it's really, really big, important to have those letters very large so that people can see it from a distance. Jeremy, what do you think would be a good size, if someone was walking down the aisle, how far away would you want someone to be able to read that header banner?
I would think 30 to 40 feet would be great. Most aisles are about 10 feet wide, 12 feet wide. But if you can, if you're on the corner and you're able to kind of position your booth appropriately, you can grab from several different directions. So yeah, you'd like to be visible, readable from at least 25 to 30 feet.
Definitely. So that covers the banner header. This is something I'm sure we've both seen a whole bunch. Not only do people not clarify the type of travel they do, then they have a zillion little pictures that have no description of what the picture is. Sometimes the picture is not clear, and big mistake, don't you think, Jeremy? Having just a bunch of little pictures.
I think so. If you can have that as part of a larger banner, that's fine. And it's worth the investment of $400, $500 for a great banner that defines who you are, where you go, how long you've been in business. Some of those key defining credibility statements that you talk about often. And then you can have a large image, something that's eye-catching from a distance. And then you can have, superimposed on that some smaller images. You want to show people having fun, people doing, activities safely. You want to show, a diversity of wildlife and cultures and and places for where you visit. And all of that gives people a mental picture of kind of what you do. But again, it comes to that main statement of, I do these types of trips. And, it doesn't have to be your name. Like you said, Jeremy's adventure trips or Jeremy's fun trips. That tells me absolutely nothing as a consumer.
Yeah, I would make your company name and your logo a secondary thing important. But one of the things that my brother did at his recent show on the images that worked very well is we had a nice size monitor, and we just had a slideshow going on the table off to the side, and there wasn't even music to it. It was just really nice images, and that really worked well. Before we jump into the second part of the during the show, I wanted to. So we've talked about defining what you do, clarifying for the prospect. But the second thing you need to do is speak to really the why. Why should someone consider traveling you, or how do I know that you're a seasoned, experienced company? And this goes with credibility. So I often recommend that if your destination or your lodge or resort, your tour has been reviewed or seen in any sort of media, as seen in, and put the logo. You could also have some nice big kind of headline testimonials. Or you should have something that speaks to, hey, we didn't start yesterday. We know what we're doing, and you're going to have a great time with us, and your safety is a top concern. What do you think about that?
Something that says in business since XYZ, ranked #1 on TripAdvisor, as seen in National Geographic. One of the guys that was at our most recent show had 2 of his trips in the top 50 National Geographic, trips of a lifetime. That is amazing.
That's huge.
So anytime you can pull in that's that credibility you're talking about, or if you can capitalize on people's comments for when they come to see you or what they've said about you, that's really important too, especially if it's like, someone that you may have heard of, a celebrity or someone like that.
To close on this point, this is so important. Nielsen, the great survey company, recently did a study, and of all the forms of influence and things that develop trust, people's reviews and opinions ranked #1 across the board in all modalities. So it's really, really important to do this, folks, to establish credibility, and so that people want to take the next step. So let's move into the next step. So you've got this fabulous booth. It's really clear on what you do and why people should consider you. Now you have an opportunity to engage them. Why don't let's talk a little bit, Jeremy, about that process. When someone is at the booth, and I imagine I'm a prospect, I'm approaching it. Your booth has captured my attention. What are some of the ways that you think to start that conversation with a would-be traveler?
Well, it's simple, common courtesy and service attitude. Look someone in the eye, say, "How are you today? How are you this afternoon? Are you having a good day?" Some sort of opening statement, and then as they come closer, and you can start seeing what they're looking at, the photos or the booths or things at your table, or maybe they're coming to sign a giveaway of some sort. We talked about that last week. Having some sort of a draw to bring people to your booth. And that's the whole reason is just to get them there. And then it's up to you to capitalize on that. So if you can, address them, as you would like to be addressed when you're going into a store or someplace, professional, courteous. And then once you have them, kind of in range, then you can start asking what I call some qualifying questions. Don't do yes, no, have you been to Mexico before? Have you done this before? Have you done that before? You want to have something where they actually have to mentally think about what they are and who they are as a traveler. So something like, what kinds of activities do you like to do on your vacation? That is a perfect qualifying statement and will tell you everything you need to know about this person and how qualified they are for your destination, for your product, for the types of trips that you service. If you're an adventure tour operator and they say, I just like sitting on the beach, drinking Mai Tais, then you may have a more of a challenge, but you can still bring that around and say, well, have you ever thought about, doing some bicycling on an island, or going to visit some local villages, or parasailing, or whatever it might be. And then that might say, you know what, I would like to do something different. So you can capitalize it on that way. Now, if they say, I like to do a little bit of everything, then you've got the perfect entree to step in and say, well, let me tell you about some of the trips that we have. One of them, or two of them, or several of them, we have on a special this weekend if you are interested. Um, so you have to bring them to the booth somehow. That comes with the booth design. It comes with some sort of a giveaway, and it doesn't have to be a trip. It might be a bottle of wine from your local region, or I've seen people sign up for iPads. That would be big. It's worth a $600 investment to get hundreds of leads. So anything to kind of get them to you would be the start. Address them courteously, and then start qualifying them as you have them in talking distance.
Excellent point. So essentially what you're talking about is what's called boothmanship. And I want to reiterate what you said, and then some things not to do, which these are common mistakes I see. So boothmanship is an art form, folks. This is something that you just don't, those that do it well have practiced this, either at other shows, or if you're new to this, I really recommend you practice it, role play with people, because boy, you can get all kinds of types of personalities, and it's really, really important. Whether you're going to engage them or not, it happens in seconds. Second, ask open-ended questions. These are questions that cannot be answered yes or no, to, as you said, have some discovery about what it is that they're looking for, because at the end of the day, that's really all that's important, because you want to make sure, are they in alignment with what you do? Can you be of service to them? Because quite frequently, I've seen people who are spending time engaging with people and this and that, and they're not really having discovery, only to find out that what they were looking for is not at all what you as a provider offered. You spent all this time, you may have given an expensive brochure, meanwhile, 50 possible prospects may have walked by. So it's really important to define what is it they want, and to see if there's a good match so that you can move on. A couple other quick things. Don't sit on your butt in the chair in the back. And I've seen this way too many times. You need to be engaging. We're in a business of quality of life. This is exciting stuff. That's what people are coming to buy. And recently at the show, quite frequently, I heard the phrase, "We're looking for a new experience." That's the business we're in, folks. But you need to be upstanding, smiling, engaged, and reflect that excitement of the business that we're in. By all means, folks, drink lots of water, use breath mints, give yourself a break. Trade shows, this is high energy stuff, and it can be energizing, especially when you make a good lead, a good contact, you sell a trip. Boy, I tell you, watching my brother, every time he closed a sale at the recent show, man, his energy, and heck, the whole energy of the region was like getting pumped up. Oh yeah, we sold another trip. It's like, yes. But you got to give yourself a little break. So take care of yourself. Any other closing comments on boothmanship, Jeremy?
Yeah, I would also say, if you have a partner in your booth with you, try not to eat in the booth.
Good point.
It just looks kind of unprofessional, and if someone comes and approaches you and you've got broccoli in your teeth, it just sets a bad example. The other thing, put the cell phone down. Concentrate on the people that are coming up to you. If you need to, take a break, go do your messages and things at that time. But if you've got people approaching you, put it all down. That those are just common courtesy things. That nothing puts off a potential buyer worse than being ignored.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. It would be like spending a bunch of money on an ad and having misspelling in the ad, and then but such a good offer, people call, and then you're not around to answer the phone. It's you're there to engage people. Trade shows are a fabulous opportunity to have that quality connection to really help be in service of our market and to get awesome leads and to close sales and make money. So we're going to wrap up here now, and I want you guys to, if you haven't watched part one, what to do before the show, you should watch this at least a month or so before the show, because this will help you increase sales. And the next episode, we're going to look at what you can do after the show, which is really where you can really take a lot of those leads and the opportunities and convert them to sales, folks. So thanks for staying tuned. This is Tim Warren and Jeremy Garrett, and we will see you soon on the next mini course for travel trade show success.